All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another great session with the presidential candidates of the fictional Common Sense People's Party. Now, it's been 24 hours since the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria was turned on its head by Justice Samani and the rest of the judges. Now, the big question is, what is the way forward? How do we go on from here? But before I attempt to answer that very big question, let me quickly clear the air on one ugly phenomenon that has been rearing its head since yesterday. After the judgment, some Obidients began to blame Peter Obi's legal team. They said they didn't file the case well, that they didn't do their due diligence. Please, my people, listen. Don't let anyone deceive you. Everything that happened yesterday was planned. On several occasions, Peter Obi's lead counsel, Liviu Zwoku, complained to the presiding judge that very important documents that they had paid for were not being released to them by INEC. And the presiding judge did nothing. What happened there was that the presiding judge himself had planned with INEC not to release those documents, so that while writing their judgments, they will still refer to those same documents that INEC refused to release. The presiding judge kept saying the petitioner failed to prove. He failed to prove. How will he be able to prove in those cases when INEC refused to release the documents? And you were there. You saw all that happened. Yet, the court refused to hold INEC in contempt. So please, let me say this once and for all. Based on what was released to the legal team of Peter Obi, they put up the best case possible. They proved that case in the best way possible. And all they deserve is credit. It was INEC and the judges that connived with APC people to pervert the will of the people. So nobody connected to Peter Obi or the Obidient family deserves any iota of blame. There was this brilliant guest on Channels, and I love the way he broke it down. Listen to him.
And for instance, in several countries across the world, several high-profile cases, they see what transpires, blow-by-blow account, they see the faces of the judges. But in this case, we don't see their faces. Even yesterday, I hardly saw the face of any judge. I don't know if I'm right or wrong.
You're very right. That was directed.
Yes, nobody.
Just
so what exactly were they hiding? You know, there are things that raises questions. These are Nigerians. Many lawyers know them. Many people know them. What exactly were they hiding to say, don't put the camera? Because even the idea of you hearing a voice without seeing the person, the reading, the face, the gesticulations, even the way the person looks, makes it look somehow like an artificial intelligence kind of proceeding. There was absolutely no reason why we shouldn't have seen them. And nobody, there was no provision of the law, no rules of court that said that their faces should be hidden. I mean, why do you have to hide if you know you are doing the right things? What happened yesterday did not start yesterday. Let's look at this way. The petitioners went to court. For the first 2 to 3 weeks, the court gave an order to INEC to provide them, give them access to beavers and materials. It took almost 2-3 weeks before they could have access. And they didn't have more than a couple of days before INEC came back with an application. They want to wipe out because they have to use the machine for another election. If you recall, in so many states of the federation, the INEC put obstacles on the way of petitioners to access the materials and information they need. Now you put the whole blame, the whole onus, because hearing the judgment yesterday, the recurring decimal was the petitioner failed. The petitioner failed. At some point, it was sounding like a rebuke to the petitioner for coming to court in the first place. All right? Now, if you are presuming regularity from a government agency like INEC, and it has been shown to you that there was nothing regular about what they have done. They uploaded materials on the net, and you have materials from Katsina in Port Harcourt or in Abia. You have from Abia in Maiduguri, all those kind of things. That rebuts that presumption of regularity. It should be up to the commission to show why it has to be believed. You put everything on a petitioner. Just a political party leader. And he's not part of INEC, he's not part of the police, he's not part of the law enforcement agencies. You now want him to also prove. For instance, INEC put up a portal. They also manipulated the portal. And you want
many things to discuss this morning, Rufai.
Okay, so one, let me start from the congratulations. There have been congratulations. Members of the APC have applauded it, and also there have been rebuke. Labour Party said they rejected the result of this judgment while the judgment was even being read. The PDP said they were going to go to the Supreme Court. And there are many areas that we need to tackle for the Supreme Court. And take, for instance, the issue of the 25%. I think there still needs to be more clarity. So I was saying now that Abuja is a 37th, state, and what is even the intention and the thoughts of the framers of the Constitution in the first place? Another question is, why did INEC take us through this merry-go-round as Nigerians constantly, with many copious evidence, saying that they were going to have an electronic process, only for electronic process not to hold, because there's been another report that 3 days to the elections, they said that they were just going to take a picture of the results and put it on the IRF portal. Why did INEC come on this show to fight even against the National Assembly when they said they were not going to be part of electronic transmission? Because that was what made a lot of people say they want to get interested in the process again. And when you look at it, the process of our elections that have constantly suffered massive levels of voter apathy, the cure will have been the electronic transmission of results. So when the court also made the argument that INEC isn't mandatorily bound to transmit electronic results to the IRF, let's take a look at Section 64, Section 4B of the Electoral Act. That is, a collation officer, a returning officer, at an election shall collate and announce the result of an election, subject to his or her verification and confirmation that the votes stated on the collated results are correct and consistent with the vote or result recorded and transmitted directly from polling units under Section 6, Section 4 of this Act. So there still needs to be more clarity. So why did INEC say we're going to do this? And because there was also another report where there were doubts about using the electronic transmission, and INEC came out to reiterate in another letter and piece about that. I think that letter was authored by Festus Okoye Esquire on the 11th of November 2022, where there was an alleged plot to abandon the transition of polling unit result to IRF portal. And in the letter, the INEC said attention has been drawn to section of the media alleging that our plans to rig 2023 election abandoning direct real-time transition to INEC portal. And he said the IRF is one of the innovations introduced by the Commission to ensure the integrity and credibility of results in Nigeria. It's therefore inconceivable that the Commission will turn around and undermine its own innovations. So all of this conundrum, INEC said it was going to do something to bring back, because if we're saying that INEC can use any process to collate reports, and if, like the court said, it means that we've gone back to the EU days of elections, where it could be a do or die at the polling unit, and the truth is that there's a big problem of the burden of proof. And don't get me wrong, when the judges talked about it, the burden of proof is always hard. And the judges did eviscerate the petitioners on the burden of proof, and also vis-a-vis the Evidence Act, because it's quite difficult to prove. And a lot of people felt that the IRF was going to be the basis to be able to actually authenticate the report. And look at this result. And there was a glitch in the process, also proving that is quite very difficult. So, as always in every case, the burden of proof as regards our electoral jurisprudence, and the idea of, that there's a presumption of regularity on INEC, is also a very big challenge. So proving is very, very difficult in the court process. And that's why, to be able to deepen our jurisprudence, we'd like to see, some parties have said they're going to go to court, Congress to the winner. We'd like to see how all of this pans out in the Supreme Court, so we can learn more and have this argument. But a couple of things, Nigerians, they need to go back to the National Assembly as regards fine-tuning electoral laws. It's an ongoing process.